Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Hermanas Unfiltered, where we talk about the real, the raw, and the relatable moments in life. I'm so excited to have you guys back for another episode. And today I am joined by my amazing hermana, Casey.
Hey, 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 I'm Casey, seventh grade English teacher. We're so excited to have you guys join us today for a trip down memory lane. Now, today's episode is all about childhood and teen shows that shaped us and made us laugh and maybe even made us cry a little bit.
Oh man, yes, Casey. So we're talking about the shows that were our comfort things to watch, the ones that made us feel like we weren't alone, especially growing up in Latino households. You know, the ones our parents would sit us in front of the TV so they could get a few minutes of space.
That's right. So let's rewind it back to our childhoods and get into some of the iconic shows that we watched growing up.
All right. So I will start, and I want to talk about Chespirito. Do you remember that show, Casey?
Oh my gosh, do I? One of my favorites.
Right. So I think that if you're a 90s kid and growing up in a Latino household, you definitely know about this show. Of course, I think I remember my mom talking about it and saying that she used to watch it when she was a kid or something like that, or maybe like an older kid, because it's been around for a while. So I think this show is definitely a classic. If you don't know what we're talking about, Chespirito was based on. It had a bunch of characters that were kids played by adults, right?
Yeah.
And they lived in this neighborhood. They called it a vecindad. So you had characters like the main character, his name was El Chavo del Ocho, and he lived in a barrel, right? And then you had Kiko, which, again, if you're Latino, you know exactly what we're talking about. He had that particular cry, and then his cheeks were just super plump. La Chilindrina, she also had that cry, and her sweater was always twisted in the back. You know, the whole gang. I feel like Chespirito was everything growing up. If you're a Latino, you know exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely remember that we would watch it Saturday mornings. I would, we would gather around the TV after breakfast or whatever, and I remember, just like falling in love with the characters. And then the Chilindrina, she was like a hot mess, right? Always
Yes.
there was something going on with her, and then Kiko was always just a pain in the butt. And I remember just laughing at him. And then La Bruja, remember La Bruja del 61?
Yes.
Ah,
Wait, wasn't it del 69?
del 69. Oh my gosh, it was el 69. It's been a long time, y'all.
You you think they were trying to be like
Probably. If
you know
you
what I
know,
mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If you
Right?
know, yeah, if you know the Latino culture, yes, you always have those innuendos,
Like
always.
the double meaning, like they call it doble
Mm-hmm.
sentido in Spanish, right? Like they always had
Oh
double
yeah,
meaning.
for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, those were funny. I remember, yeah, those were definitely like we would talk about them, we would laugh at them. It was pretty funny. Dude, do you remember La India Maria? Did you watch La India Maria growing up?
Yes. So w- not yes and no. I remember it. I feel like all her movies were
Kind of the
the
same.
same. Yeah.
Yeah. The same plot,
Right.
just a different location. Yeah.
Right. Because those of you that don't know La India Maria, she was this Native American character, right? A Mexican Native American. And, you know, she was just sassy and hilarious, and she was amazing.
Yeah, and she was like a she wasn't a city girl. So she was like she lived in her like little casita or whatever. And in every episode like she would somehow find herself in like a big city. And then she would always like mess things up and get things all wrong because she didn't know. She had never been out of her ranchito, right? And she
Right.
had her little burrito. Do you remember what the burrito's name was? Was it Teodoro?
Ah, maybe. I really don't remember. I
And she
think that
had
was before my time, but I do remember watching a few of her movies.
Yeah, and she would always wear like her big old like India skirt, and she would always like find
The
herself into some,
trenzas.
yes, the trenzas,
Yes.
and she like spoke like very country because she was like from the country, right?
Right.
And very stereotypical, mind you, as TV always is. But yeah, they were cute episodes or movies, or I guess they were movies, right? She had
Yes,
movies.
there were movies.
Yeah, and I remember watching La India Maria, Chispirito, and then there was like Capulina. Did you ever see Capulina?
Piruta y Capulina.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Oh man, I used to love those. I thought they were so funny because they were all
With
pretty comical, right?
Yeah, and it was the same man that produced all of them. Like he
Did he
was the
really?
brains behind. Yes, he played a bunch of characters. I mean, he was El Chavo, and then what was a superhero with the antennas?
Oh,
Mm, wait, that was
that was
Chespirito.
Chespirito. Yeah, I was
Right,
like,
yeah.
that was just, yeah, so Chespirito.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you had like
Okay.
Botija, and then you had the other
Mm-hmm.
lady. Who was the other lady?
La Chimoltrufia.
Yeah, la chibustrufia. Oh man.
Yeah.
So if you like grew up with that, like at some point or another, your parents called you a chimostrufia, huh?
Right.
We
If
all
if
knew.
you were yeah, if you're all tirada and like looking like shit, usually you
Yeah.
get called a chimotrufia. Yeah. So I think we got confused there for a little bit. So the first show with El Chavo and all of that,
That was el
the name
Chavo
of the
del
show
Ocho.
El Chavo del Ocho, yes. And then Chespirito is the one that he was a superhero and he had
Yes,
like
yes,
he was a dumb superhero,
yes,
right?
yes.
And then it had El Doctor Chapatin
Mm-hmm.
and all of those people. Yes, yes, yes. I remember that.
Mm-hmm. What are some
Okay.
other shows that y'all guys watched growing up?
Okay, so do you remember Marimar? That was not really a show, but it was a novela, una
Oh my
telenovela.
gosh, yes. My
Yes,
favorite.
Marimar.
Oh, I loved her. Dude, I thought Talia was like so beautiful growing up. I thought she was so iconic and
Right?
young and pretty and
Mm-hmm.
tiny, and her acting skills were pretty damn good. I don't know, I have to go back and rewatch, but I remember they were good.
That's what I was just about to say. Have you rewatched any of those old telenovelas? Because I
It's
have, and
Were
they're
they
pretty
super
cringe.
cheesy?
They're pretty fucking cringe. Yes, they are. But I mean, back then, what did we know? It was a love story. Like every
Yeah.
telenovela out there. Fell in love with the rich guy. He got her out of
Poverty, right? Saved
poverty,
her.
right? But she was still like a poor person living as a rich person, and she didn't know how to act. She was out of place. And then, of course, there was always a villain that
Yeah.
wanted her man and made
Yeah.
her life miserable.
Yeah.
You know what I remember from Marimar? Do you remember that scene where the villain makes her take out the bracelet out of the mud with her key?
Oh, that's iconic.
Ah, that was so iconic. And then later on, when Marimar finds out that she's rich and has all the money in the world now, she gets a payback by making that lady what was it, like the deed to something, right? She makes her dig her
Yeah.
out of the mud with her teeth as well and humiliates her.
Yeah.
Yes, so iconic. Um, Telenovelas are definitely like Latino telenovelas are just so much better than American ones, in my opinion. Okay, I'm biased.
Yeah,
I
I
grew
think
up
so
watching
too.
them, but they have so much more drama, and the acting is so extreme, and I don't know. I feel like they're just on steroids.
Yeah, they really are. Like everything is just like over the top, right? Absolutely. And there's so many of them and they're so
Oh my god.
good. Like
Yes.
I remember like that was our thing. Like we would watch like we would watch them as a family. And
Mhm.
like if we were gonna go somewhere or do something, like we would record them. Like we would set like our VCR and record it, and then we weren't allowed to watch it until we all got together. So that means like me, my mom. I don't think my brother never watched telenovelas with us, but I remember like it was a big thing. We would all like come back because we would have church on Thursdays sometimes, and we would come back and we would like lo luego put in the tape or like rewind it and hurry up and play it, and it was just so much fun.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely had our times when we would all, what, you had like the main telenovela would come out, what, at 7 or 8 o'clock?
At
right?
7. Yeah,
At
7.
7,
Uh-huh.
and we would all sit down and watch it together, and like you follow the stories and you just, follow the drama, and it just, mm,
They
I don't know.
sucked you in, huh? They just kept you so
Yes.
engaged and entertained. They were so good.
Yes, for sure. So I think telenovelas are a reason why we Latinos are so dramatic, or we were so dramatic growing up. Those shows gave us everything. You learned all your drama from telenovelas, Like I said, all the villains were on steroids, and then the main characters were always just so out there. So I
That's
blame I blame
true.
telenovelas for making us so dramatic in life.
Not, and you know what? Not only that, but like making you believe on that one true love. Novelas always
Mhm.
hyped that up. It was like fairy tales on steroids, right?
Right.
Basically, there was always like this one charming guy, right? And he was always the most good looking man that you had ever seen with a six pack and like the perfect hair and the perfect skin. And you were just like, oh my gosh, but he's so perfect.
Right.
And you just, oh, so that's how life is. Not.
Not.
So growing up, you envision all that, the
Yes.
novelas and the guy, the little poor girl gets the guy and she ends up rich somehow and yeah, definitely fairy tales on steroids.
They lie to us.
I sure
Okay.
did.
So, what about American shows? I'm pretty sure you got a lot more of those because you've
Hmm.
been here longer than I was. I mean, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. We still had, like, you remember when you had satellite?
Yeah.
In Mexico? I think we had DirecTV growing up. So we had access to, like,
Some stuff.
yeah, like Nickelodeon and some of the American channels, but everything was in Spanish.
Oh, nice.
So I grew up watching like Cat Dog, Hey Arnold, um,
Oh, I remember those.
what else? Rocco's Modern
Oh, I
Life.
hated that show.
But in Spanish it was like Vida Moderna de Rocco or Perro Gato. It was like Spanish names, and I would watch them in Spanish. Like, and all the Disney stuff it was also in
Hmm.
Spanish. So now when I sit down and watch any of those shows with my kids, I put them in Spanish because I feel like if I'm watching them in English, it's not the same. Which is
Really?
weird, yeah. But, that's what I grew up with. What about you? What shows do you remember? American shows?
Like growing up as a like little kid, I think Nickelodeon, right? I remember
Mm-hmm.
like Yuri like as a kid, like Eureka's Castle.
I
I
don't know that
remember
one.
there was like this little bee, Maya the bee, and these little gnomes. But those were
Mm-hmm.
like when I was tiny. Like I remember watching those shows. And then there were a few like little like almost like they weren't necessarily anime, but they were like fairy tales. I remember and I could never remember their names. But
Hmm.
man, once I started getting older, I remember. Do you remember TGIF? Were you here already? Like TGIF, thank goodness it's Friday. And they used to show like Steve
No.
Urkel. No, did you
No.
watch Saved by the Bell when you were younger?
No.
Okay, so like those were like the Zach Morris was like this like stud muffin, and he had like this best friend who was also a stud muffin, and then all the girls that they hung out with, right? This was like it took place like during like their high school years or whatever, and the girls were like all beautiful, right? You had like Kelly, like she was like the brunette, like super hot, and then they were all like really pretty, and then they would like all date each other or like have like instances where they like had to like fight the nerds or like do stuff on campus or whatever. That was a really cute show. Like I remember that probably being one of my favorite shows growing up.
Okay. So, kind of like the shows that we had in our later,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say teenage because by the time, well, do you remember the hills
Oh,
and
yes, yes. That's
Laguna
when
Beach?
that's when like reality TV like kicked
Right.
in. Yeah.
So we must have been what in our late teens, almost 20s when those came out. Because I
Mm-hmm.
remember watching them, but I
Yeah.
was already like, I already had a job.
Yeah. Yeah, those were good too though. I really enjoyed those. Like, I thought they were like legit real. Like, I had no idea they were scripted because I was just like, when that stuff, like reality TV was just hitting, like it was becoming mainstream. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you get all invested with the characters. And
Mm-hmm.
then as you get like more reality TV, you're like, oh crap, like this is scripted, which is fine, whatever. I'll still watch it. TV's TV, I
Well,
guess.
yeah, I was listening to a podcast the other day with, I think it's called like Back to the Beach. And it's got, I think it's hosted by Kristen Cavallari and Steven, right? Because they were a thing back in the day.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And they were talking about, like, they've had a bunch of people from the show as guests on it, and they were talking about it, how like, the love triangle between Steven, Kristen, and Elsie
Uh-huh.
was staged. Like,
Uh,
literally, Steven and Elsie were genuinely best friends in high school.
oh wow.
But the way they filmed it and the way they cut it, they made it seem like it was a love triangle, and it really never was. And they talk about that on their podcast. So I thought that was pretty cool because I believed it. I was always
Yeah.
like mad because Steven was such a player and it wasn't even the case. So
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah, it's crazy because you really think like that. I mean, growing up, because that's all we had was TV, right?
mhm,
And if it's being acted, it must be real, right?
right.
So to learn that those episodes were like kind of finagled or edited in a certain way to look, you know what I mean? That's pretty interesting. I mean,
Yeah,
good for them. Whoever came up with stage TV, reality stage TV, genius. Genius.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, what else do you remember growing up? What was
Let's
your
see.
favorite show?
My
If you
favorite,
had to pick one, what would it be? Like, let's talk
it,
about in
hmm,
your teenage
my teenage
years.
years.
Yes.
I think that was Saved by the Bell, girl. Like, I remember being like, I just wanted Zach Morris and Kelly to like go off and get married and ride into the sunset. Um, oh, and then there was this other one called, was it Topanga? Do you remember that? Did you ever watch that one? With the
Oh,
with Boy Meets World?
Boy Meets World. Yeah, I remember that one. I think I
Mm-hmm.
did watch that one. I not fully, but I do
Mm-hmm.
remember watching episodes here and there. Yeah, that
Yeah.
one was a good one too.
Yeah, that one was very cute. And
And
they
it
were,
went on for so long,
it
right?
did. Yeah. Yeah. Did you ever see Beverly Hills 90210?
No.
No. Oh, that one
No.
was good.
Hmm.
Like I could go back and rewatch that. That was so good. What about, you know what? Like, you know what's funny?
Mm.
Growing up, I was such a nerd. Like, I'm still a nerd. And I remember I used to watch this show called Matlock. And it's about this,
Matlock?
yes, and it's about this viejito, okay? There's this viejito, and he's an attorney, and he would solve like cases, like either murder cases or whatever. This, now, mind you, this was geared towards like older people, like probably people in their 30s or over. You know what I mean? Back then,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I don't know, 12 or whatever. Used to love watching that show because I guess growing up, like I was always interested in like criminal law or whatever, right? And I thought, oh my gosh, like I want to be an attorney just like Matlock. And then there was this other show también. Do you remember the one with the cops that would ride the motorcycles? Did you ever see those? That show? I think it was called, no, it wasn't called Cops. What was it called?
No, Cops is a funny one, I think.
I don't know what it
Isn't
was
it
called, but it had like these guys.
Cheers?
It,
Was it
no, Cheers
Cheers?
was the one at the bar. I never saw that one.
Oh,
I didn't
what the
know,
hell?
but I used to watch that and then Murder She Wrote. Did you ever watch Murder She Wrote?
Mm-mm.
No, it was like with
No.
this viejita and it was based on the Agatha Christie books.
Agatha Christie? Yeah. No, dude, I was really innocent growing up. Like,
What are you saying? What are you saying, girl? What are you saying?
well, and I'm not saying anything, but I was like, I think my brain was very immature, like, for the longest time. Because I
Yeah.
remember, this is kind of embarrassing, but I was like 16 years old and still watching cartoons.
Really?
Because, yes, I wasn't interested in, like, any of that other drama or whatnot. So,
Really?
Yeah, I don't remember any of those shows. The only show I remember watching growing up, like that
Mm-hmm.
was kind of like teenagey at that
Mm-hmm.
age, was Ready or Not. Do you remember that one?
That sounds so familiar. Oh,
It
that like
was
game? Like that game?
no, no, no. It was a show. So I remember the characters were Amanda and the other little girls was I think it was Lizzie or Elizabeth, and
I'm gonna have to look it up real quick to see what
they
it
were
looks
like
like.
one of them was a blonde. Amanda was a blonde, and the other one was a brunette.
Huh.
And I remember watching that show so much growing up, and it was in Spanish because I still lived
Mm-hmm.
in Mexico at the time. So I guess that's one of the ones that kind of resonated more as I was like getting closer or around my teenage years because I
Mm-hmm.
identify with it
Mm-hmm.
more. But yeah, 90210 and none of that. I never, to this date, like Friends, I
Really?
never watched Friends.
Yeah, Friends. I wasn't a big fan of Friends.
I have never seen Friends. Till this day, I have not seen it. What
Really? I would
else?
watch a lot
Yeah.
of like Lifetime. Like yeah, when I was like older, like let's say like 16, 17. Like I
Mhm.
remember that's when the Lifetime movies on Saturday would like they would just like put one after another and after another. I would watch those. Like I was super interested in those movies.
Mm. Yeah, I remember watching a few Lifetime movies, but not a whole lot. They're
Yeah,
always so cheesy.
they were. I love them. They're so good. And or like did you ever watch like the older like shows like Bewitched? Did you ever watch those or like Gilligan's Island or I Dream of Jeannie?
I think Bewitched. Yeah. No, no. I'm thinking of Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Oh, that one was good too. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Used to love that one.
What else? What was the one with the dude that was like always behind the fence?
Oh, yes.
Or is that
No, yeah.
or is that the other one? Boy Meets World. Is that the same show?
No, that was a different show. I know what you're talking about. Oh my gosh. I
Or
cannot for the life of me remember the name of it. Because I didn't
the
watch
one
that one very often.
the one with Tim Allen? What was that one called? Do you remember?
Home Improvement. That's what it
Home
was.
Improvement. I remember
Mm-hmm.
watching. Is that the same one with the dude behind the fence?
Yes, that's the same one.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, I remember watching that.
That one
What
was pretty
else?
good. Yeah, I would watch it here and there when I could catch it. Because
Yeah.
remember back then, it's like if you weren't there, like when the episode aired, like
Yes.
that's it. Like there's no que I'm gonna pause it or I'm gonna go back and rewatch it. No, like that episode
Hell
was
no.
like that was it. You've lost your moment.
And you have to wait for commercials as well. Kids these
Hmm.
days will never know.
No.
So funny that we mentioned that because I downgraded all of our like our Hulu and our Disney Plus,
Hmm.
and now we get like it's not free of ads, so we get about a minute of ads in between, right?
Hmm.
And my kids get so ah,
Mm.
a commercial, and they get so upset about it because it stops what they're watching, and I'm like, dude, y'all
You're
don't
like,
even
welcome to
know.
my world.
Yeah, y'all don't even know what it's like to like get up in chinga and run to the restroom and come back before the
Hmm.
show starts again during the commercial. You remember
Yeah.
that?
Oh
Or like
yeah. Or
running.
like get your snacks, right? You go and get your
Yes,
snacks
running
real
to the
quick.
kitchen for a snack. Yes. You know what? Also, I remember like when I would spend the night at my grandparents' house,
Hmm.
with all my cousins, we would get up early in the morning just to watch cartoons. And like it was all quiet and we were the only ones up and we were all in the living room like in front of the TV just
Hmm.
watching cartoons butt ass early in the morning. Like
Right? Yeah.
for no reason. Yeah.
Because afterwards they weren't going to show cartoons because at a certain point
Yes.
they would stop
Mhm.
showing the cartoons or the good
And
ones.
they would
You know
show
what I mean?
something else. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, yeah, sitting in front of the TV with a bowl of cereal, just watching cartoons, and then once it was over, we would get kicked outside and just go play outside.
Right?
Drink
Yeah.
water from the water hose.
Yeah. You know what's so funny? I was telling one of my sons, I was like, I was so nerdy that when I was little, like one of the things that I wanted my parents to buy me was a typewriter. Because I used to watch Murder She Wrote. Murder She Wrote had a little typewriter, or like Matlock, like his secretary had a typewriter. And I remember like I didn't want a doll. I didn't want like like toys, I wanted a freaking typewriter. Like, who
Right.
asks for a typewriter? Oh yeah, I got my little electric typewriter, and I was telling my son, like, yeah, I used to like sit down at my little desk and pretend I had a job, and I'd type with my little typewriter and like make
And
notes.
just type gibberish.
Yes, or I would like type stuff and like you know, I even had a Rolodex. I made my parents buy me a Rolodex.
For what? What the hell did you write down in there?
Dude,
Your
nothing.
DOS info?
It was hilarious, but like no, I just had it because like they had it in the TV, like in the movies and stuff. So I'm like, oh, here's my little Rolodex, like A through Z with nothing on them, and every once in a while, I'll, like put my little cards in there and like type fake names and stuff. That was ridiculous, girl. I had
Fucking
like
nerds, dude. You know what I would do with my typewriter? Sometimes I would
you had a
like grab
typewriter
a
too?
yes, sometimes I would grab a book and just copy from the
Yes.
book so I had something to type, right?
Yeah.
Fucking nerds, dude. Yes. I was all about like I'm telling you, like pens, little journals.
Coloring books growing up?
Yes, so many of them.
Yeah.
Because I love to color. And I was like very anal about like
Mm.
outlining
Yep.
darker and then
Mm-hmm.
coloring lighter in the center.
Yep.
And like when people wouldn't do it right, I would like lose my shit. And
Yeah.
I'll be like, no, you're not coloring in this coloring book anymore because you fucked it up. Or I would follow like page by page. I
Oh
wouldn't skip
yeah.
around.
Yeah.
'Cause, dude, I think I've been OCD my whole life and
Yep.
I never realized
I
it.
think so. Yeah. No, I used to love color. I remember I had this one coloring book and it was of like flowers and roses and like oh my gosh, I thought that was like the best coloring book in the world. And I remember I would outline everything, but then I would color. Have you ever colored in circles?
Oh, I hated that.
Oh,
Monsters.
dude, I love that. I was like, yes,
No.
colored in little circles.
Oh no. I hated that. I remember the first time that I saw one of my cousins doing that because I
Hmm.
would always color like, side to side, like
Yeah,
very precise.
yeah.
And I'm telling you, I let one of my cousins borrow a coloring book and she was like, color. And I was like, what are you doing? You don't do it like that. She's like, no, you don't do it like that. So I think we got in a fight over it. Because I was like, no, you monster, you don't color like that.
You don't color in circles, but it looks so pretty. It makes everything look
No,
fluffy.
no, no, I'm telling you, dude, I think I've been OCD my whole life. Borderline OCD. Hey, do you remember who your TV crush was growing up?
Gosh, I had a lot of them.
Did you really?
So, okay. So as a kid, I used to have a crush on Pedrito Fernandez.
Ew.
Like, I thought he was so
Why?
cute. Because I saw that one movie with him in it, and I thought he was so cute.
Which
Oh, wait, it
one?
gets worse.
La de la mochila azul?
Yes, yes. I
Ew.
thought he was so cute.
Mm-mm.
Oh my gosh.
No.
Let's see.
Who else?
Who else did I have a crush on growing up? Well, duh, Zach Morris. Everybody had a crush on Zach Morris for sure.
Dude.
But I can't. Okay, this one's like really gross. Oh, I can't tell you. Oh, I can't tell you. It's really gross
Why?
because he's not cute at all.
Who is it?
I'm so embarrassed to say. I'm so embarrassed. Okay, don't judge.
Maybe I don't even know the dude.
No, you freaking know him. He's one of them. He's like a Mexican singer.
Ah, is it Luis Miguel?
Oh, no, no. But it's just as cringy. It's Cristian Castro.
Ew.
I told you.
I would be embarrassed too.
He had
He's
the most
disgusting.
No, he had the most beautiful green eyes. Like, or yeah, I think they were green. Were they green or blue? Oh, I think they were blue. I think his eyes were blue, bluish green. I don't know, but his eyes were so beautiful.
Well, that's
I
about
thought he was
it.
so cute. I know, it's disgusting. I disgust myself too. Who did you like? Who's your
I'm trying
crush?
to. I'm looking him up because I can't remember his name. He was in one of those shows. There was two of them. They were brothers,
Uh huh.
and they were both beautiful.
Was it the brother one? The one with all the brothers?
Wait, no.
There
I'm
was
trying
one
to.
with all the brothers, and there was a hot brother. It was three brothers, and they were all really cute, and the older brother was raising them, and the older brother was like super hot. Is it
Okay,
that
I'm
one?
googling it. I'm googling it.
I just
Is it
can't.
brotherly love?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, the older brother. Yeah,
Yes.
agreed. Agreed. Very hot. Super hot.
Okay, let me try to find him.
Yeah. Or you know who was really, really cute too?
Who?
Did you ever watch Baywatch?
No.
No, there was this one guy, and I think he married Pamela Anderson. That guy was super hot. He was like brunette, super chiseled, colored eyes. Yeah, he was very good looking.
I don't remember watching Baywatch. I don't think I had any more crushes. Let's see.
There was one, what's his name? Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Do you remember him?
Yes,
He
yes,
was
yes,
a little
yes.
hottie. And then remember like the Hanson brothers? I never liked them, but they were like
Oh, yeah, yeah, I
super
remember them.
popular.
Yes. Oh, they
Mhm.
had that song.
Mhm.
Who else? I don't know, dude. I didn't really, like I said, I was very sheltered and
Yeah.
innocent growing up. Like,
Yeah.
I was all tonta and shit.
That's good though. That's where you want to be.
I'm telling you, dude, it's embarrassing to admit that I played with Barbies all the way until I was 14, almost 15 years old.
Where are
I
you?
shit you not. Yes. I was all tonta. I was
I think I
just,
stopped playing with Barbies when I think maybe eighth grade. Maybe eighth
what's eighth
grade?
grade?
I don't know.
How old are
Like,
you in eighth grade?
I don't know, like 12?
Thir- 13?
12,
14.
13. Yeah.
14. Yeah, so around the same. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I played with, yeah. I liked my little Barbies. I like making clothes for them. Like, that was my thing. Like, as I like started growing out of the Barbie phase, I would just like find like material that my mom had and I learned how to sew and I would make them skirts and tops and then I would play like fashion designer. That's what I would do.
My mom would make me Barbie clothes.
Would
She
she?
would sew it for me. Yeah, I remember she
Oh.
made this really pretty wedding dress one time for my Barbies. And I remember my dad bought me. Do you remember those old Mexican couches with like the velvet print on them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, he bought me a set of those couches, but
Mm-hmm.
Barbie size. One time he was coming home from work and found some people on the side of the road selling stuff. So he showed up. He came home with a set of those couches. I still have those couches. My
He
daughter.
has in her little Barbie house.
Yes, because my niece inherited all my Barbie stuff, right? Because I was 16 when she was born, and then we still had all that stuff. So she inherited all my stuff, and then I don't know what she did with it, but I remember like fighting with my sister, and I was like, "Those couches are mine. They're for my daughter. I want them back." And she was trying to argue with me that no, they're not. They're my nieces and this and that. So I think I had to call my dad or text my dad and be like, "Can you please tell her that they're mine? You bought them for me." So
Aww.
he was like, "Yes, I did." And dude, I don't remember my dad buying me like a whole lot of stuff like out of
Just
like
because.
yeah, like random acts of kindness like that. I don't remember him doing a whole lot. So yeah, it was pretty awesome that he just showed up with those one day. So like I said, I still have them, and if my kids ever have daughters, we'll pass them on as we go along.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch the Care Bears growing up?
Yes, the Care Bears.
That was my favorite. The Care Bears, and then they had what's that? Punky Brewster. Did you ever watch Punky Brewster?
Mm-mm.
La de las colitas.
No. Colitas. I remember I was talking to my husband the other day about Pepper Ann. Do you remember Pepper Ann?
No.
He said he's never heard of it either.
What the heck is that? Pepper Ann.
It was a show. I think it was on Nick. Pepper Ann. Of course, the song was in Spanish.
Like was she country?
No, she was this girl. I think she had like
Mm-hmm.
a colita, and she had like a green scrunchie on it, and she was like a redhead. And in the show, there was this character that was a little boy that always had pink eye. and he was always wanting to share things that involve them touching his eye. So everybody was like, didn't want to be around that little boy because they didn't want to catch the pink eye. Look it up.
It was a cartoon?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. She was, yeah. I guess I saw, I don't remember seeing,
This
like
one.
me personally seeing the cartoons,
Yeah.
but yeah, I do remember.
Yeah, I used to love Pepper Ann.
I do want to throw in some new shows though that I've been watching.
Okay. Okay, go for it.
Okay, so like right now, I've been watching a few shows. So okay, let me rewind it back. So I have pretty much gone through Netflix. Like I pretty much watch everything and anything that you can possibly see on Netflix. Sometimes like I'll just leave like the TV running and like, like shows will run or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm at the point where I'm like kind of over Netflix for a little bit. And we got a Disney Plus subscription, and that came with Hulu. So I've been on Hulu, going crazy, watching like all the shows on there. So one of the shows is called We the People on Hulu, and it's about, I guess, kids that have graduated law school and they are either gonna work for the state or they're gonna work for the attorney general and be public defenders. So you have like both sides, right? You have the government side and then you have like your public defenders, and you
Mm-hmm.
kind of see like how they like think about their cases and how they defend them, which is really cool. So you have like the ones that are the AS, what is it? ASUA, the attorney, like the that are like for the government, that like if you do something illegal, the government will prosecute you, right?
Like without
And
a. Okay.
no, like they're like the attorneys for that side, like for the
Right.
government. They're the attorneys for the government.
Right.
And so you like they're like all atypical, like super like it's funny the way they dress. They all dress like monotone, and it's like your left brainers, like your super serious nerdy left brainers, and they all work for the government, right? And then you
Uh-huh.
have your people that defend the public, right? That
Mm-hmm.
can't afford attorneys. And they're kind of like free spirits and they dress like kind of loud, and they're kind of like they're like they'll show like one of the characters, and she's like a really great attorney, and her desk is like full of like crap everywhere, right? There's like papers and documents, and she's a public defender.
Like a
And
type
so,
B teacher.
yeah, so you
Mm-hmm.
have like your A's and your B's in the law field, right? And it's such a cool show. Like it talks about so many issues that I think arise, whether it's like there's one like on deportation, there's one on there's an episode on swatting where
Like,
this, yeah, like where these, no, like where kids, like, so have you heard of that, like where kids were like calling in, like I guess that there was like something going on like at a certain address, and then they would go and the SWAT team would go to that house, and it would be
oh,
like
okay. I was thinking of
unsuspecting people.
swatting, like spanking you in high school. You know, with like swats.
No, no, like
That's
swatting.
what I was
Like
thinking
what the
about.
gamer community started doing. Like they would like swat people, like their friends or like random people. So there was an episode
Mm-hmm.
on that where there was like a kid who like had a house swatted, and then it ended up killing like a state senator or something. That was a really good episode. So there's like different topics that arise in those particular episodes that I think that are really cool. And I think it goes back to my Matlock days where I used to love
Mm-hmm.
watching like anything like attorney based or law based. So that's a really good show. And then
You
I
should have gone to school for law then.
well, like I remember my 8th grade year, that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be an attorney. And
Mm-hmm.
I worked
What
for an
happened?
attorney for a while. I worked with
I
him.
remember that. Yeah, when I
Yeah.
first met you, that's where you worked, right?
I had, so when, yes, I had gone back and I started working with him again, and I really liked it. Um, I just didn't, I should have gone. I didn't realize how poor we were and that I could have gotten it all paid for.
Mm,
Do you know what I mean? Had I
yes.
realized how poor, and then my mom wasn't one of those moms like, oh, you have to go to college or like follow your dreams. No, she was like, no, se va a acabar el mundo. No, mijita, no vayas a la escuela. And I'm like, thank God I didn't listen to you, mom,
Wait,
because
what?
because of the religion. Like, remember, my mom grew up, so my mom was in that religion. We're gonna have to do like an episode on this, and I'm gonna have to like talk to you, because essentially, Jehovah's Witness, it's like a cult. It's like a mini cult.
I
And
think it is.
yeah, it really is. And a lot of people who grew up in that religion or grow up in that religion, it takes them a long time to really see how it's structured and how cult-like it is. Anyway, so yeah, so my mom's thing was like, no, mija, se va a acabar el mundo. Like, and they call it Armageddon, right? When the world is gonna end, they call it Armageddon, right? Armageddon is gonna come and it's gonna take you away, and you're right, and that's when like all that stuff's supposed to happen anyway. So that was her thing always, like, you don't need to go to college, you don't need to, like, you just need to get married and blah blah blah. So my mom never, and granted, it's not her job to push me, right? When you as a person, you want something, you go and you go after it. So I went with education, but I didn't realize how poor we were and that I would have gotten like a freaking, I would have had like FAFSA pay for it all. But I just didn't realize in my head at that point how easy it could have been for me
Yeah.
to get my school, like, or like gone
Paid
in.
for.
Yeah. And I guess me working with an attorney, like, you see, I guess I saw the small town side of how they deal with things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for instance, like criminal, like he was a criminal, he did everything. He did criminal law, he did family law, he did real estate law, because it was such a small town. And you kind of saw like the back end, how negotiations kind of work and how they're all kind of mutual. It's nothing like on TV. It's not, that's kind of like glorified or like made a little bit more than what it
Made up.
is.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, they all talk to each other and they all, like, sit around like, hey, this is the case I have. What does your client want? What does my client want? And then they kind of like, negotiate or whatever.
So they were pretty cordial with each other,
Oh yeah, for sure.
basically.
Especially in a small town, like, you kind of have to be because you work with each other.
Right.
And you know what? They also, like, the attorneys in where I worked, like, they all helped each other out, and it was, I don't know, I had a great time. I really liked it, but I think for me the hardest part was just, I don't know, like, the you have to be real meticulous, like, with your paperwork and stuff.
Mm.
So that was kind of daunting for me,
Yeah.
and sometimes got a little redundant and a little boring. But it was fun. I liked it. But I should have freaking done something in the legal field. I should have. Like, that's probably one of my biggest regrets, is not going to school for something in the legal field. Whether it would have been like a court reporter, or there for a while wanted to be like a court interpreter. But then I don't know how well my Spanish would have held up with that. But I should have. And then, speaking of, there's another show too. So I guess you know how once you watch one show, like, it starts giving you recommendations of like other
Right.
shows,
The
right?
same genre.
Yeah. So there's another one that I'm watching, and that's called. Okay, so the one that I was talking about right now was For the People. And
For the
then
people.
this one, the one that followed, it's called Burden of Truth. And that's about a girl who goes back home, and of course there's the guy, right? There's always that hot guy that the girl went out with in high school, and then she leaves, and kind of like the Lifetime movies.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a hot attorney that she kind of starts talking to or whatever, and she starts solving a case for the little town, and it's called Milltown. And she's solving a case where girls are like convulsing and having like tics, and they're having like memory shifts where they're not able to, like, because of toxins that they were exposed to. in the ground. So
Oh,
she's
okay.
like, so she's trying to like solve like, well, who put the toxins in the ground, and somehow it's like leading to people that it's like at the same time like she's discovering things about her past that her dad kind of lied about. So it's a really good show.
Oh, is it a
Yeah.
book? It sounds like a book.
I don't know if it's a book, but it should be. It's really good.
Yeah, it sounds like a book.
Yeah, so those are the two shows that I was
I'm
kind of
gonna have to go
sad.
check them out. You said they're on Hulu, right?
Yep, they're both on Hulu.
Okay. I don't think I'm currently watching anything at the moment. I'm like in a TV slump. I was
Are
in a
you?
book slump a few months ago, and now everything's just boring.
Mm-hmm.
Like nothing has been catching my interest as far as TV shows. So,
You know what's another one?
which one?
There's another good one. It's called Landman.
Oh, we watched that one.
Did you like it?
Yes, because it was filmed here in our town. It's a West
Yeah.
Texas show.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? We saw the crew. They were filming here on
Mm-hmm.
the loop. We were going out of nowhere, and then
Mm-hmm.
you see all these cops just hauling ass down the loop, and then like you see a car with a camera on it,
Oh,
and my
dang.
husband and I were like, "What the fuck is happening?" Right? We didn't
Yeah.
know what it was. So then he talked to one of his friends who happens to coach at the high school, and he's like, "Yeah, they're filming some show here, and it's gonna be about the oil field." And the reason why he knew is because they film at the stadium when they were playing football, because there's a scene on it. If you watch the show, there's a scene on it where you see the football game, and my husband's friend who coaches at that school was there when they filmed it. So anyway, yeah, I thought that was pretty cool that they filmed it here.
Yeah, I really like that show. You know what? And that's made by, is that made by the same people? The Yellowstone
From
people?
Yellowstone? Yeah, dude, they're putting out a whole bunch of good shows.
They
It's really
really
good.
are. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
When,
there's another episode out soon, right? For it?
every
Because there's
Sunday.
only two.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so a third one will come out this Sunday.
You know what I'm
So,
noticing? I'm noticing there's a trend about like daughter son. I'm not daughter son. Father daughter. Like Yellowstone, like there was Beth, right?
mm-hmm,
And there was that like the strong bond between
mm-hmm.
dad and daughter, and I feel like we're gonna have the same thing with Landman.
With
Like,
this one,
hmm,
yeah.
yeah, I
Oh,
really
it's
like that.
hilarious how open the relationship is. Like when she brings the boyfriend home
Mm-hmm.
and he's all like talking about it. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's crazy, right?
yeah, it's good. It's a good
Yeah,
show. I liked it.
yeah.
Um,
Have you seen? Oh, what about the? Okay, here's another one. The Dune. I know. So I have been on a book slump, and I have been on a
on
TV
the TV
rage.
rampage.
Yes.
No, the Dune one. I've seen the previews for it, but I'm not big on any of that stuff. Like I've
Oh,
seen the
did
movies.
you? Okay. Did you like the
Yes.
movies?
Yeah, they were pretty good.
They were. I
But
mean, they were well made.
like all that stuff, yeah, they were good. But
You
like,
know they're books, right?
yes,
There's
I've
like a
seen them.
massive amount of freaking Dune books. Like it's
Yeah, maybe I'll
ridiculous.
read the books. But yeah, I haven't seen it, and I don't think. Because usually, like, my husband will play something, and I'll be like, no, I don't want to watch it. But he's really good at finding shows and movies that are really good. And then once we start watching and I get into it, I'm like, God damn it. Like, I didn't want to like it, but I did. So that's how I get into stuff sometimes. But the only thing that he hasn't been able to, like, get me to watch is Star Wars. Have you seen Star Wars?
You know what?
I never have.
No, I can't say that I've. You
Or
want me to tell you a funny story about Star Wars?
what?
Okay, so there for a while, I didn't realize that there was like, okay, that there was this fake Okay, did you ever hear about like the fake Star Wars movies?
Is it Spaceballs?
Yes! Okay, so there for a long time, like I thought Spaceballs was
Was
fucking
Star.
Star Wars. So there, I remember where like I was at a party, right? I was at a freaking party and we're all drinking and we're all hanging out and somebody's like, "Hey, have you ever seen Star Wars?" I was like, "Yeah, hell yeah, I've seen it." Yeah, I remember like there's this one episode where the girl's like carrying this ginormous hair dryer across the desert. Yeah, hell yeah, I've seen it. And everybody looks at me like I'm fucking stupid, right? Like, what the heck did she just say? Freaking hair dryer across the desert. Like, yeah, I've seen it. Yeah. And everybody's like, dude, that is freaking
That's baseball.
Spaceballs. And I even went on to say, no, like the guy has like a big old helmet. He's like super tiny. Yes, I know who Darth Vader is. Oh my gosh, I will never live that down. Like
Dude.
forever. Like I thought that was Star Wars.
Right. You know, that happens to me with. Okay, the original is Ghostface. What's the original movie called?
What?
Scream.
Oh, Scream.
Scream. The scary movies, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I always get Scream and Scary Movie confused. When I
Right.
think of Scream, I think of Scary Movie and I think of like all the funny shit that went on, right? But
Yeah.
when we watch, like we started rewatching Scream the other day, and as we were watching, I was like, this never happened. This is not how it goes, right? But then it was the actual Scream movie, not the other one. So I
They're
get
kind of
confused with those
intertwined in
two.
your brain.
Yes, in my brain, when I think of Scream, I think of Scary Movie. So that happens to me too. But I've never like embarrassed myself about it in front of you.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what the big mystery is. I'm like, we all know what Darth Vader looks like. He
Right?
wears glasses, y'all. Just FYI.
He's a big old nerd. Yeah, I've never seen Star
Uh,
Wars. And I don't think I
yeah.
want to. Every time I've tried, I've fallen asleep. So I kind of just given up on it.
I think because I feel like the old movies are like so old. Like I don't know. Like I
So old that
can't.
they're boring.
Yes, that they're boring. And then I'm sure the new ones are pretty good, but you have to watch the old ones before you can watch the new ones, and that feels like such a chore.
Yeah, I can see
But
that.
you know what? I have a friend who she's all about Star Wars, like all about it. But I just never got into it.
Yeah, I can't get into it. All right.
Yeah.
If you guys have any new shows that can get me out of my slump, please let me know because I need something interesting to watch. But other than that, I think that's all we got for today, right, Casey?
So that wraps up today's nostalgia trip. So before we go, we want to remind you of where you can find us. If you haven't already, you can follow us on Instagram at hermanas_unfiltered, where we share more behind the scene looks and keep the conversations going.
If you're on TikTok, you can find us at hermanas_unfilter_pod, where you can find some of our bloopers and content from our episodes.
We hope you had as much fun as we did today, reminiscing about all the shows that made our childhood teen years so unforgettable.
And we'll be back next week with more real talk and maybe some more confessionals from you all. Until then, keep it real, keep it unfiltered, and as always, stay hermanas.
Bye.